Hello, everyone. Welcome to D6, where I, Ocean, take a bunch of questions and have a bunch of answers, as this is the epilogue for Black Archives.
It doesn't feel right. It's like...
We did it.
Yeah, like the D6 background's not here and everything. Yeah, I didn't want to do the whole setup, song and dance light show. This is supposed to be us kind of relaxing for the next hour and talking about questions that everyone might have had over the course of the campaign and ideas that had happened, fell through, ideas that did happen, or even some of our favorite moments and all that fun stuff. So, with that in mind, I also got some questions, not a lot, like literally 4, from some fans through the link I have put out over on Twitter. And so I think it would be wonderful to start off with a fan question.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Hooray!
And I think this is one of the best ones, because this is something that I think a lot of people end up asking, especially when it comes to the show campaigns and stuff like that. And so I think the biggest one, and this is from Graham Malice, and this is a question for everybody: how did y'all come up with your characters?
Are we going
Okay.
across the table
Who
again?
wants to start?
Yeah, we'll do it from across the table, as we always do. It makes things a little bit easier.
Oh, so I guess it's me. Oh no.
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess we're starting with Blue. Blue
Yeah.
Casanova. The one that had this, the one that you call Citra. So, funny enough, Citra wasn't immediately deemed for D6. I had been hanging out with Aaron more and more lately, and then, recently he'd asked me if, hey, do you want to play in this game coming up? And I went, sure. But he asked me this halfway through a stream that I was already doing. I was streaming on Twitch, and I was just creating another tiefling, because don't talk to me about my 82 different tiefling characters, okay?
Listen, we all like tieflings.
Funny enough, it was you, Aaron, and Grand Malice that was, helping me put together Citra, so she wasn't something that I was, putting so much thought into, at least visually. And then afterwards, that's when it came up about the whole idea of her being from Celsium, that it's very desert-based, basically the mishmash of cultures in it. So there wasn't too much behind that. Sav, however, was the brainchild between me and Aaron. 100%.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me who Sav was at all. So I was genuinely surprised, even though Connor fucking got it before I did. But yeah, I had no idea about Sav. I was guessing the entire time, is this just another creature? Is it, I knew there had to be, a different soul, something separate from her, in the way I understood it. But Sav could have very easily also gone in a very different direction than how it did, too. The original idea was that it was going to be very violent, and it did, but, detrimental almost to the kind of group. There was just no coming back for it. But, with everyone else's help, it turned out to be super wholesome, and I cried like a bitch when we lost Sav. I did, okay? I did.
Alright. Connor, how did you come up with Leodon?
Leodon was a case where I was making a bunch of characters in Hero Forge just to have in my little holster in case the need arises. And the need arose, and I'm like, what class haven't I played? And the only thing that came up was Ranger. So I was like, okay, which one of these character designs looks like a Ranger? And I didn't really have any bow users, so I'm looking at this guy with hand axes, and I'm like, what if I play a Ranger? Well, what if I play a Strength Ranger who throws hand axes?
Yeah.
I think that would be a cool concept. And it was a cool concept. I think I played a... Huh?
I was saying, boy, was it. It was fun.
Yeah. It was a very interesting way to play Ranger, and I've never played one before, so...
I think it was also with the introduction of the home rule of making, I guess, pretty much ranged weapons also finesse weapons. Because that's what I thought you were going for, because I made that change.
No, I wanted to do something a little bit different.
Okay.
I also, the way I built Leodon, I used a lot of the optional class features for the Ranger. It was very, very interesting, very cool. As for his powers and abilities, when initially Leo was actually going to be a Horizon Walker Ranger, but when Tasha's came out, I was like, oh, Swarm Master is really cool, actually.
Yeah.
So I completely changed his character, his personality, his color scheme, everything. And I'm
Funny
like,
enough,
hey.
Tasha happened anyway.
Oh, well, there you go.
I think the first time I saw the introduction of the optional rules being introduced from Tasha's was when I played the Golden K as a private game with the Balkanist crew before Balkanist, and Cammy had done something with a wolf, and that's when I first created Ignis for the first time. Yeah. So when I found out about the optional rules, I was like, wow, like this definitely improved the Rangers greatly. So I was that's really interesting. And Swarmkeeper Rangers, like when I thought hummingbirds, I was like, wow, that's going to be very interesting at the very least.
Oh, yes. It was a cool subclass, and I'm glad I got to play it.
Yeah. So Desi, how did you come up with Dante?
Oh, well, Dante is actually my other name because I'm gender fluid.
Yeah.
So basically he's just a personification of like my teenage angst years. And like they like coming to terms with like the world around you and just like wanting to hide from like everything, but like people will always like find you and like make you a better person, or like you will always subconsciously like seek your people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So that's so it's basically him. He's like gender euphoria. Like that's what I want to be. Is that?
Yeah. Especially with the changeling race was what I recommended because I thought it would be interesting for you.
Yeah. So it fits right in with that gender fluid like ideal of like. Well, at least for me, like being able to like look like a guy, look like a girl, look however the fuck I want.
Yeah, and like and thank God it wasn't at any detriment to your RP play style, which there were like a number of recommendations when certain times had come, because like you started off with the rogue, and at a certain point, I recommended Paladin because rogues can be a little complicated at a certain level, but with Paladins, they are a perfect introduction between both melee and combat classes, and they almost play like a Paladin, or they almost play like a rogue, especially with Smite.
Yeah, what's great about it is like it played really well into my story, especially since, like, I don't know if I really explained this much, but Sahanin had brought back a hawk that was helping him, like, through his teenage years, because, like, it started off like as this sickly bird who couldn't, like, catch fast enough, but Dante couldn't see well enough, so they worked together to, like, basically hunt, and then ultimately into thievery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleight of hand.
Yeah, but of course, because that hawk was sickly, he ended up just getting worse and worse and then dying, and then Dante just needed he just needed something to show him that this world is worth living in.
Yeah.
Because he had already felt so lost at this point.
Oh, yeah. And I'm really glad that we have worked a lot of that stuff out. The Ishgari aspect was definitely something I wanted to surprise you with, because I kind of
sure
knew where that was going. But we'll get into that a little later. Because last but not least, Kendra, how did you come up with? Well, I think I know how you came up with the Aerolist.
It's kind of a two-part thing. First off, the name Airlist actually comes from an alternate character that I have actually on Final Fantasy XIV, the online game. Really good, by the way. Play it. Thumbs up. Anyway, so Airlist was the name of the character there, but I had never really done anything with her. I made her a warrior class, and I wanted to try to do some tanky stuff, but it just never happened. So while I still have her, I'm sitting here just like, I don't know what I want to do. And then Aaron comes to me mentioning that they have a slot that they need to fill, and they need somebody who's a little bit tanky. Who comes to mind? Who comes to mind but Airlist?
Airlist was the first
I
stone
thought of
thrown.
her, but then I'm sitting here just like, I don't know if I want to absolutely pick her. So I went on to Hero Forge. I slapped a couple characters together. One of them is actually a Dragonborn Barbarian, which I might have in my back pocket for a while. I don't know if I'm ever going to use him, but hey, he's there.
Yeah.
And then there was Airless, was the other one that I came up with. First, she was going to be like an orc-like character, and then I saw that Goliaths were an option.
Yeah.
And having seen some of the Critical Role and everything for that, I had to go with the Goliath.
Yeah.
So, Airlist, the Goliath, wielding a giant axe and a powerful shield, she was born, and thus she came to help resolve and save the day.
We had Axe Bros in our team.
Yeah.
Axe buddies!
Because I remember, God, I think it was either between September or October is when we sat down and watched the first season of Critical Role.
I think it was October.
Yeah, because we knew it was coming up fast. Was season 2 shortly after?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
so of course we had to binge.
And we all watched it. We just watched it together and just like, oh my god, the entire time.
Yeah. I'm really glad that decided to take a look into that, and I know for how short it was, hopefully eventually might be able to bring this character back and
I'm not gonna get rid of her character sheet yet. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with her next, but
yeah,
she's gonna hang out for a long time.
Oh yeah. Usually characters hang out for a long time, especially for this campaign, considering that I'm still using characters from the last campaign, and the campaign before that, and the campaign before that.
Given their lifespans.
Yeah. So that is how you all made your characters.
Yep.
Super exciting. Do excuse me. It is 11 a.m. I usually don't do this in the morning. So with that, I think with that first question coming, going for all of you, I think it would be pertinent of me to ask you all, do you have a question for me as a DM, through your experience, in D6?
Book out.
Of course, starting from across the table.
Okay, I have to get the joke question out of the way. Did
Yep.
that guard from episode 3 die?
Yes.
When Soph straight up nat 20 them into the next week. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It was done with the intent to kill. As Sov, I don't think that there was. I didn't think that was like a really big question. It's just
I just thought it was funny because I asked you back then too. Did he survive? I don't know. You'll have to see. And then you let me sit on it for months.
Yeah, you guys have a wonderful habit of coming to me with questions that I can't give answers to. And like this is the main reason why we don't like ever have like post game like talk shows and stuff like that, is because like I can't say anything. Anytime I'm on, it's just like I can't say anything. But no, that card's dead. And there was a storyline that I had kind of written about it. Some of the other guards that would have remembered you if you ever crossed them in the streets of Kilixmeyer ever again, they would have actively tried to fight you. But yeah, like you guys kept succeeding on your stealth rolls.
Thanks.
Because Dante was present, baby.
Yeah.
I love that whole interaction of like we're trying to hide a body that Leo's carrying as he stealthed out as like another elf or something at that point. Rob wants to go fucking punch the guy, fails that. He's about to get arrested, sees Citra and panics, and Citra can't remember shit of what happened, so she has no idea why.
Yeah.
Dante's sitting there pretending to be Maurice.
That was so good. That was so good. I loved it.
All right. Connor, do you have any questions for me?
Yes. What was the deal with the Ultraloth beneath the mansion?
Oh, the Yugoloth, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He never came back.
Okay, so that's an actual storyline that like is still technically unresolved.
Yeah. We went down there looking for incriminating evidence, and then Ultraloth robbed us, and then fucking Samael came up and whooped our asses.
So that Ultraloth, so he is still he's still kind of on the hunt for Alois Escher. Quite luckily for a sapphire dragon that never really sat still, that never became really much of a problem. The biggest thing that he's still currently looking for is Cross's wife. And she is currently well hidden, and had the storyline gone off with her, things would have gotten a little interesting, but also it would have kind of been a little derailed in its own weird way, because she was not a name from the Black Archives at all. And so I had to quell my expectations, because this is a 1-year campaign. You don't get the luxury of having too many episodes like I would for Dawnwright, because with Dawnwright you could always bring up these storylines and let them play out for about an episode, but like it's not something that we could do with this campaign. We had to be very focused about what the linear storyline was going to be.
So it's a good thing that Dante planned the heist.
Okay, but can we all have an appreciation of when he went to Bruh and went, "You need this more than I do, money."
It was copper pieces. You always turn that back over. But yeah, there is a still like notation of that storyline that I've kind of still have. I'm not sure if it will ever pop up again. I'm not sure, because there's always future campaigns, and the way that the next campaign is going to be, which I'll be talking about later, is possibilities of this stuff always come back and be a nuisance. But yeah, the Ultraloth is around. It's just where is basically a I guess fiend jumping from place to place to place to place to look for one dude that is now dead. So yeah. Desi.
Yeah.
Do you have a question for me?
Yes. Who the fuck was Uriel?
Who the fuck was Uriel? Uriel was a form of Samael, but unfortunately, this is a form that didn't know that it was a form of Samael.
I fucking called it. I fucking knew it. So I killed Uriel?
Yeah, you killed Uriel.
So I'm guessing it was the manifestation of the armor?
So...
Maybe?
So, the official stat block for Samael is that he had 3 different forms. There was Uriel, who was pretty much like a passive observer. Like, this is the form that, like, this is the actual, like, cracked side of Samael. Like, the actual, like, incapable of remembering anything kind of Samael. Then there was Samael, who was basically the leader of the Thalia Cliffs, and this is the one that, like, had violent tendencies, but he would often
he was more calculated.
More calculated, but if he would lose himself, he wouldn't remember what he was doing. And then it was the demon armor version of Samael, which is I named him Demon Samael, and this is the version that kind of just did a lot of the dirty work that a lot of his actions took. So his goal was you guys were interesting enough to kind of keep an eye on. And then when he realized he didn't really need Uriel anymore, he didn't need to go back to it.
Oh, okay. Because there was hints about that, about, like, Noel even saying there's, like, different sides of him. Like, sometimes he's kind and soft, sometimes he's like a brute, and sometimes he is a leader when he needs to be. And I'm just like, this man has a split personality!
Yeah.
So I'm guessing since I have that dog of his, was that part of his amulet or his bracelet?
That was a part of his warlock pact.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's why I started screaming when
I was confused by that for a minute. I'm like, I'm not sure what you meant by that, because I heard dog. It was just Virgil.
Yeah, because I heard dog, and then I thought, oh my god, it's Uriel's fucking dog. So that means Samael was Uriel all along. So I was wrong, but I had the right spirit.
Yeah. I will admit that.
Somehow had the wrong equation, but it got the right answer.
Yeah.
Got that dog.
Yeah, I don't know who said dog, like, or maybe I misheard somebody saying something, but you
put out a dog, like, figure at the time.
Yeah, because I didn't have I still don't have a bird figure. It looks like a dog, but it was very like, it looks like a little ethereal version of it, but, like, it's not a dog. It was just because I needed a placeholder for the bird.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, because I have. There are times when, like, I have miniatures for certain things, and then other times I don't.
So, wrong equation, right answer.
Yeah.
Like the 8 pixies we could have had.
Here's the thing. No. I had actually zelled Aaron $2 to go buy some Skittles. I told him, you go buy Skittles so Leo can have his fucking pixies.
We were so supportive of those pixies.
The pixies we never got to see.
I think at a certain point, certain DMs, like, hear the usual bullshit. Like, this isn't the first time I've heard that method being used. Believe it or not. Like, I heard that method being used back when I was running the original D6 campaign. And I sat there and said, that will never happen to me.
And then Connor happened.
And then Connor attempted it. I'm like, yeah, no, that's definitely not happening to me.
It'll never happen. Counterspell.
Counterspell, 9th level, Mystic Arcanum. So, yeah, that's, yeah. I get where that's coming from. And next up, Kendra, do you have any questions for me as a DM?
I don't believe so, and I'm pretty sure that if I did, it just evaporated out of my brain because I am not good at holding on to questions for long times.
Oh, fun.
I have. That's okay. I'll make up for like the list that I have before me.
Same.
Fair enough. All right. Well then, coming back around the table, I think I have a question for all of you.
Huh.
Honey.
I have spent many years running D6. It is one of my favorite things to do, especially as a creative. But something kind of always escapes me is my combat styles, or how I run combat. My question is, what is your favorite fight from the campaign?
Ooh.
Shit.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that one.
Yeah. So I having run this as long as I have have changed about how I run combat throughout every campaign. This time around, especially with the home rules that I did have, can definitely affect the way that the game is played. So that would be my best question: is what was your favorite fight throughout the entirety of D6?
I think I only have two, but for different reasons.
Okay.
I think the first one was the night that it was just what was it, Salazar. We had Dry with us, and it just with the fucking Knuckleave. Only because it was the first time that I had ever used deflect missiles and successfully threw it back at him and hit him. It felt so good and gratifying to be able to do that. But also, it was the only fight that I actually maxed out all of my spell slots to keep people alive. So it really made me have to go, oh god, I am playing White Mage in D6 now. The second one has to be, narratively, was the fight with Sov. I could not roll above an 18 the entire game.
Yeah.
I did not at all. And there were little quips with the whole layer action. It's like, oh, if you go to attack me, you're going to hit Leo. And I went right up to him and went, heal. Fuck you. But it made sense to me that the only thing that hit was the fireball and the final attack. And originally, yeah, I was getting a little overwhelmed because it's frustrating when you try to roll every time, and it's just right there on the cusp. Not even once, just right there on the cusp of being able to hit him. But then I had to sit back and think about it, like, you're fighting someone that is essentially, like, your family.
Yeah.
It would make sense that you would try, but, like, you're really not going to land those hits. So I was getting more upset because at that point I was connecting with my character. I was upset because that was such an emotional fight. So I have to admit those two are probably my favorites because of one, validation, and two, oh god, my role-playing heart.
Yeah. All right. Connor, what was your favorite fight?
I'm thinking.
Ho
Double it and give it to the next person.
Draw two.
Do I be simple and say the last one?
The last one was great, though.
Yeah, the fight against Orcus was fun because it's the first real big bad from D&D that I've ever fought.
Yeah.
Like an actual named character that you face off against, an archdemon at that. So it was really fun just facing off against a legendary enemy like that, and plus we were all high level and the combat was crunchy, and we got to show off all of our abilities and the 2 ones and the saving throw, but I didn't do that, so I still enjoyed the combat.
I have to thank you for taking Revivify. I was having to come to terms with the fact that I almost beefed it.
That is actually an extended spell from Tasha's, so you can thank her for that. Because if the Cauldron of Everything was not out, you would be dead.
Yeah, I was going through the 5 stages of grief while you guys were coming back.
Desi,
Yeah.
what was your favorite fight?
Oh, God, it's gotta be like either between. It's gotta be like either like the Samael fight because we were playing a game of Keep Away.
That is true.
Yeah, or there was like another one, or the one where I took down the giant like metal scorpion.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That one I was fucking killing it.
Yeah, I believe they're called like Skeletars or something like that.
Skeletor.
Big
Yeah.
metal puppies.
And I wanted to kind of bring that out because I like every single time I look at it, I'm like, this is just something a fucking artificer made.
Yeah. I would say that I think my favorite fight for you that you couldn't be there though for was Grin, because boy, your rolls from me were immaculate.
Yeah, I wish I was there for
I
Grin.
know.
That's okay. You guys were piloting my meat suit.
Thank you.
Kendra, what was your favorite fight?
Now, seeing as I only had a very small selection of fights,
Yeah.
it's not going to be as crazy as everyone else, but honestly, I have to say the final fight has to be my favorite. First off, it was a culmination of everything everyone had learned the whole damn campaign. On top of it, there was the heartbreak of, oh my god, we could lose Citra.
Yeah.
Again, 5 stages of grief were happening on the other end of my computer. So, like, thank you all guys for, like, going, fuck that. We're not letting this one die just yet.
Oh no, we're not letting you die, not without a fight. Just goddamn. But on top of that, just probably my absolute favorite part of the final fight, despite it being dramatic, despite us having all of these crazy abilities that made us such a frickin' powerhouse to take this guy down, Azure.
Ugh. Don't make me cry.
Just the way he just sent us away at the very end of the fight.
Yeah. I can actually talk about that now. Because there was a few things that I didn't say after what happened, because you guys, the narrative of that was actually very important, and I had to actively prepare for what that was going to be, because I think it was before Tasha, because I kind of figured that the fight with Tasha is gonna end up one way or another, but you guys are fighting Calrul, Orcus, no matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So the big thing of that is that the actual staging area, and like every layer, there was only one layer action, is that the Citadel was falling apart as you guys were getting higher and higher off of the moon. And as those pieces fell, the portal that was supposed to be the exit was slowly going to actually start dissipating. The last 2 steps was basically it was going to become more unstable, and if the fight went on any longer, the actual portal would have disappeared, and you guys would have been trapped on the moonscape for some time. And we
were literally cutting it that close.
Yeah, you guys probably had about another round before that portal disappeared. So
had Citra not gone down, I think we would have gotten everyone through, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault Citra got so hurt with so much damage, guys.
Just, you guys all fell. She's like, oh no, and then it's just little old Citra, big ass Orcus, like, oh.
I would have thought you guys, like, would have known kind of a little better not to go back down the stairs.
I was trying to go
expecting the whole fucking platform to suddenly get out from underneath us.
I just wanted to use my sneak attack within 5 feet of this motherfucker.
Listen,
Yeah,
it was the only time you made me feel that being able to fly was a curse. I'd rather have taken the fall.
yeah. I was so like, I was like, well, this is how it's gonna be. Like, I gave every indication that like the stage was actually
You gave one indication.
I gave 3. The first one was when like the back of that whole area was falling apart.
Yeah,
then
we saw that was going down.
Apart.
We didn't know the entire fucking huge floor underneath us was going to go at once.
I figured that might have happened just like in stages. Like the furthest back portion starts to crumble away.
Yeah, that's what I figured was going to happen.
The outer portions I gave way to, because I was like, oh, where you guys are is becoming unstable. And so that's why I like got rid of the sides, because that's how every method was going, is that the sides would go first and then the platform would fall.
Oh.
So I maybe it was my mistake for not making that a bit more clear.
I think you made it clear, it's just I forgot.
You made sure I had a "this is fine" moment.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was just like, the whole thing was to get you guys up onto that main platform, and boy howdy, that didn't happen, and I was a little worried. But I did set things up to anyone that did fall off would eventually come back up with Eloise. The subsequent aspect of that was if all the platforms had actually fallen away, all the major platforms have fallen away and not so much the portal, then he would have been left behind no matter what you did. It was just a narrative point to say he was holding that portal together because it was unstable. And so by holding that together, he couldn't afford to transform back into human size and go through the portal. So it was literally either you guys survived or he didn't. Or you guys survived or nobody did. Yeah, I get it. I get it. The meteor aspect, though, was just, just a hurt.
Yeah. You already took a meteor to the back when,
Twice.
Yeah.
3 times now.
Yeah, the last one was delayed. It was just like, I'll let this one hang time for a second.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what that situation was about. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit more closure on the decisions being made behind the screen.
I do have to say, I think one of my more favorite interesting fights was the fight against Tasha, the non-lethal fight. Which was a big homage to your rule that initiative doesn't mean having to fight.
Yeah. It meant you guys take turns. Yeah, that was definitely more interesting.
Also, Dante making sure that Knuckle the Bee gets his government issue nap time.
Union mandated nap time. The biggest thing that I had, I think I talked to you guys about that after game, was what the gauging was for how to end combat with her. And that was very interesting because, like, I was very much prepared to use the full force of the Witch Queen on you guys. Like, I was ready. After a certain stint, I recognized that I think they're gonna aim for a non-lethal fight, because, like, at that point when I realized after 3, maybe 4 rounds, you guys were aiming for non-lethal because she had not taken a single hit point. The other reality of that list is that if you guys were fighting her and her hit points were getting lower and lower and lower, if you guys hit about the halfway mark and reached this secondary phase of Igwell, there would have been that check, regardless. The thing was that since you guys never hit that hit point check, you basically avoided a lot of major problems, and basically I was able to cut the DC down to a point where I don't think it would have mattered what I rolled, because the DC was just so low. But yeah.
Turn into that TikTok sound of I don't want to.
I don't want
I don't want to do this.
Yeah. That being said, let's have you guys ask me another question.
Okay. This is going to be the last round of questions I could do.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
across the table, as usual.
yeah, across the table.
Yeah.
Oh, with me?
Yeah, across the table, you know, the method so
All right,
far.
mine's kind of it's a two-piece. It's because I asked you this, and I was like, and you're like, ask me the thing. I'm like, fine. Did Mephistopheles know who Citra was, or was he just playing with her? And if he didn't, what would have been the outcome if he knew who she was to him?
I will say he didn't. And for all the reasons that, like, kind of just, like, makes sense, is that he's a very careless being. And whether or not he knew what Citra was to him never really would have mattered to him either which way, because to him there would have probably been some very nasty commentary about his life, and the way that he kind of perceives people.
Gotcha. The reason I asked is because of the way he was asking those questions on the train at first. I'm like, is he just toying?
I think he was definitely trying to poke and prod.
Okay.
Yeah.
Poke the bear.
As devils do.
Yeah.
All right. Connor, any questions for me?
Trying to figure out how to word this.
Yarrow, fuck and you.
Fuck are you?
That wasn't a question, but understandable.
On the train, when I forget what name she was going by back then, but Agatha.
Yeah.
When Agatha was saying, like, basically, come with me or I'm going to kill bruh, could she have actually done that in that moment? Could she have actually killed bruh in that moment?
Yes.
Okay.
There was an actual, like, there was an actual threat of sending him, or basically the goal would have been to jack him up about 1,000 feet into the air and just let him fall to his death.
Yeah, she was actually aiming at Citra at first, but I just managed to get away from her.
Yeah. All she needed to do was touch somebody.
She did, but my save was too high.
She had the ring of teleportation, right? So that's what she was going to teleport him up?
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me there were two different outcomes.
Handed, basically, you guys had handed her the tool that would have been the initial demise of bruh.
Yeah, so that would have... that choice was either let bruh die or have Leah be captured.
And to be quite honest, I wasn't really expecting you to make the much more difficult decision of giving up a character.
What? What the fuck are you talking about?
I would have...
Of course he's not going to just let bruh die. He doesn't like him that much, but...
But, like, I was also kind of wondering what you would bring as a temporary as well.
And we got Salazar.
Yeah, and with the introduction of Salazar, I'm all like, oh, I could make this a whole damn thing, and it really changed the story in a lot of ways. The introduction of Salazar deeply created a interesting storyline and plot thread of somebody that was actually very close to Alois in a lot more recent years, which I thought was really cool.
Even now, I know some stuff that you guys don't.
I know some stuff that you don't either.
Well, and I both know some stuff that you don't know.
So, with Salazar will probably end up in Sandtide a couple of times.
Hello, goodbye.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I have to go.
It's all good.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
My
Don't
last
forget to
question
send your
will
audio.
be-
Oh,
okay,
last question.
Last question. What the hell happened to Cal? I'll leave it at that, and you guys discuss. Bye.
What happened to
Cal?
Cal? I'll leave it at that.
What happened to Cal?
Cal. The Arc Knight. He's around.
He's alive.
He's around, still causing fucking pain.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you would actually, to your question, Connor, we had actually discussed that a bit, because I was asking Aaron about what had happened had I not used, I think, the Divine Favor, so I wouldn't, I passed the check to get away from her, and it was worse.
Yeah.
Because you and I, Citra and Leota, had a friendship, and she was absolutely going to use that against you.
I think Leah would have just jumped out of the train at that point and tried to catch you.
No, it wasn't gonna be that. It was gonna be worse.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I think what Aaron told me was that she was gonna teleport, but not what she was gonna do to Bruh. She was gonna bring her back to that lair. Citra was gonna die, but she was gonna make sure you saw it.
Yeah.
Torture.
Darn.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Agatha had every intention to be mean. There was no light way of putting that character in any which direction. Whether or not Bro would have survived the fall, I think might have actually mattered, because keep in mind you could only roll a maximum of 20 d6s for falling damage. And that is the absolute max. I think it is in the DMG, because it's still deadly for your guys' level, but I could roll a handful of ones out of 20 d6s, and
I wasn't about to take that risk.
Yeah. Because Burra probably took the least amount of damage, and he had the most amount of hit points because he was taking Barbarian at that point.
Yeah.
So he had the most amount of hit points, and I kind of averaged out on the notion that there's a high chance possibility that he would have survived the fall, but he would have had to find his way back to you guys. And that would have cost some time. But yeah, there's a potentiality he could have died. There was a potentiality he couldn't have died.
I mean, on average, he's taking 70 damage. So
yeah,
that's a lot.
4 or 5 at that time, or 6.
Were we level 5? I feel like we were higher level than that.
No, you guys were I believe level 8.
8.
Somewhere it was not. It was. We're still at the medium level of
Yeah.
HP and all that.
Yeah.
We were experienced, but we weren't hardcore badasses like we are now.
Yeah.
It did actually
you guys will hopefully be more hardcore badasses in the future.
Oh, hopefully.
Yeah.
I will say this, because of Leo's decision, it also made Caesar have to kind of lead for a little bit, which was something I didn't expect to be doing.
Yeah.
As soon as she got you out of that stone, she's like, don't ever make me do that again.
Can't believe Dante blamed me for saving Bro's life.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not my fault he got disintegrated.
And then I got to punch you out of solid stones. That was fun.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hold on. I guess with Cal being answered, Kendra, do you still have or have you come up with the question?
I have not come up with anything new, I'm sorry.
Fair
Sorry,
enough.
you're in the situation of having come in late into the game.
Yeah.
So it's to be expected.
Yeah. I guess I could round back with the question for all of you. Unfortunately without Desi, but I think one of the questions were, what were your thoughts for the Adamantine Bastion? Because this was the first time I've created something that is a brand new place that isn't like, that was not like made until this campaign had actually started. Because the introduction of Lumeria was in Dawnright, and it had a very terrifying introduction. And then with it being towards like the end game, and with everyone kind of being the heroes that they were at the end of it all, like a lot of that came from Mal and Caitlin and everybody kind of creating the Adamantine Bastion the way it was that is known today. So I was wondering, what did you guys think of its portrayal as this floating city within Erzheimel?
I personally just thought it was just super cool, being a massive fan of like things like Avatar with the whole like floating mountain stuff. So definitely checked off the high fantasy for me there.
Yeah.
And at first I thought it was just the EHS, then you explained it to me, and I was like, oh shit, now this is like a massive land mass above that's just floating around doing its thing. And I just thought it was super cool. Like, I guess if anything, I wish we could have explored it a little bit more had we had time in between the big story points of going from one name to the next. Because from what you explained to me, it's not just the city, it has its like farmland and so on and so forth. Like, there's so much more to that than it was just the city that we were in.
Yeah.
I think the Adamantine Bastion is just a cool concept. The floating castle in the sky where this airbound kingdom is ruled by the previous heroes. It's very, very nifty. I also just love like hub worlds.
Oh yeah.
Where you could just go and have things at your disposal.
Also, I love the little note.
It's a walkable kingdom.
The note you gave Airless of just, Elena, love you more.
Yeah. Yeah, and that would be the best thing to run back to you, Kendra, because coming up the Royal Guard was like one of the first things I did for the Adamantine Bastion, and for your character to kind of just be introduced through them.
I am thankful that you thought that up, because it was a very good point to introduce her as, first off, a fighting character.
Yeah.
And then also that she has this background to where, yeah, she would have access to this area. She would have access to these people that could recommend to this group.
Yeah. The Adamantine Guard. Yeah. Because, like, the Adamantine Guard was I think one of the first few things that Mal had mentioned that he created with the Bastion. And I kind of played with, who would be on the guard, who's the Royal Guard, who's this and that. And then also creating the EHS was more my idea, secondary to what Caitlin had planned for it. The Adamantine Bastion is something that I've always kind of dreamed of when it comes to fantasy. You don't really get the opportunity to sit there and say, hey, this is a fantasy world, giant floating land masses don't really exist anymore. Well, goddamn, why can't mine? It's probably not the only one either. Who knows?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
How would you have felt had, say, Leo not taken his advice? How would you have been affected by Teacher just dead at the end of this whole thing? Because I was wrecked.
I would have been sad no matter what happened. I as a dungeon master have to be mentally prepared for the notion of any of my enemies killing your characters. Because the truth of the matter is that, especially with D&D, and whenever you run a show, you can create a very obvious perspective of hostility, which is not the intent of a DM. It's not to create hostile anything or to make the players your enemy or the player characters your enemy. And I've ran into a couple of DMs that have behaved that way. Especially in certain environments where certain DMs kind of took pride in killing their player characters, and I wonder why that was. And it came off as either just cringe-like or done in a unfair manner that it made no sense, which is the main reason why I mentally prepare myself, is because my intent isn't to kill. It's the intent of being a force of opposition with the potentiality to kill. So, to anyone that knows the way that these games are ran, and especially for a lot of the background aspects of it, I let you guys know if an encounter is deadly, because this gets you guys to play smarter, because there is a social contract with playing D&D. You make all the drama you want. You could do whatever it is with NPCs all you want, but the moment you start stepping into the realm of a deadly encounter is the risk of not acknowledging the social contract. You know, I can RP trauma all day.
Yeah,
I can RP
I just want to
all
let you know,
day.
like, I wasn't upset with you. I knew this could happen, and I kind of expected it when he popped up and none one else did. And I'm like, oh. Okay.
Yeah.
You're fighting a big bad.
Yeah, I did not expect the two once in a row. That was D&D Beyond just giving me the big fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
darn those digital dice.
And, like, to be fair, I joke about saying, like, 5 stages of grief. I was trying to figure out what would have been said or left behind for Citra in that case. And I was like, ah, shit, this is something I didn't expect. Gotta fix this up, you know? So,
yeah.
Because, like, I've seen people handle it where it's like they actually had, like, letters or something like that in case of their untimely death and shit like that. I absolutely had it set that someone, probably, like, Leo, I guess, in that case, because he's one of the closer friends, or Dagix, to return at least her staff and that scarf back to her parents. And,
yeah.
You know, it was rough. I was, like, trying to write this down as I'm, like, crying.
I was very worried there for a minute, but, like, I knew that Leodon had Revivify. How it would have turned out was very, very risky, nonetheless. But I'm glad that Citra survived and lived.
Me too.
I'm glad that Dante was able to go down and...
Yeah, no, that whole brain math of just, I'm just gonna jump, grab, teleport, Leo, do your shit, and then you guys just keep bashing on it was such a great moment.
Yeah.
Oh, good execution.
God.
It was also kind of like a little happy little bookend, because, like, I still picture that whole minute where Citra busted him out of that stone, and then at this point, he's now bringing her back to life. So I thought it was really sweet as a friendship, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I ain't quitting you, you know?
Yeah. Connor, do you have another question?
What would have happened if we couldn't stop Samael from setting off the bomb.
Oh god, yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Because that sounds like a we're all dead moment.
Considering that he was basically dropping a nuclear bomb on it,
So that could have gone two routes. I will note there are two routes that would have done that. The first route, if you guys had listened and stayed back at the Thalia Cliffs, a good chunk of Kilixmyra would have been leveled. The aftermath of that much magical energy would have created some tears in the dimensional, in what is that dimensional rift between the prime material plane, the Feywild, the Shadowfell. It would have done what had happened back to Lycia Bay 50 years beforehand. The thing is that can't be calculated. You know, that's just something that has to happen because you're messing with magic that obviously is designed to destroy on a massive scale. Had you guys been there?
Yeah, like if we lost the fight to Samael.
If you lost the fight, he would have. If you all had lost, if like you were all like 0 hit points, he would have sent you all back with the Blade of Arcanum. He would have been left behind, and he would have died there.
really?
If you guys didn't stop it in time, if you guys were still alive, so this is, I guess, the third path. If you guys didn't stop him in time, and it went off while all of you were still up and standing, you would have all been vaulted into different planes of existence.
Oh, that would have been one hell of an adventure.
And
that would have been wacky.
You guys would have been down to like your last hit points. But as for everyone outside of that immediate radius, yeah, everyone else would have just died. Samael would also have been vaulted, but probably to a place that he, nobody would have known about. Maybe Pandemonium, who knows?
Oh. Why would he have forced back in the Thalia Cliffs?
He was not trying to kill you guys. He was trying to get you guys to stop following him.
Okay.
This is the clear direction of what his intent was. Is that he wanted you guys to stop, not die. That's why he constantly had the method of letting you guys live. It wasn't until he had basically, subjected himself to the final stages of the armor that he became a little bit more unhinged.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah, vaulted into different realms is what would have happened.
That would have been. That's an interesting thing. I wonder how that story would have gone then.
Just be lost.
We'll probably talk about that towards the end here. Any possible question? Last chance, Kendra.
Well, I suppose there is just one question that I can ask. Why'd you pick me?
Why did I pick you?
Oh, I screamed it. I was like, we were like, what do we do?
That was literally the conversation. It's just like, we're in a tough spot, and I already know somebody that already understands D&D, at least by its logic. And
I'm still stumbling, but I'm getting there.
I also knew you wanted to learn, and you were already optioned for Sandtide, and I was like, this could be a very interesting little, also extra training and experience doing it with a production level D&D game versus Veil.
Yeah, it was very much the notion of I knew you well. I know that you like D&D. I know that you had time on Sundays. So I, with that conversation with Blue, I'm like, you want to know what? Yeah. That there's no doubt in my mind that I could trust you to come on and then also know exactly, how this all works, how the recording software works, how we play the game, and even though it would be a very short amount of time, it's not something that it's not an experience that would be best left out, because eventually you're gonna have to need this experience soon. So
trust me,
yeah.
The beginning for me was rough. It was before D6. It was actually the one shot. I did not know what I was doing. I was like, and Connor's like, you'll be fine.
and also, on top of that, I just like you,
Yeah.
No,
I like you.
But on the side note, it was really, sad that we had to see Daito go. Daito, we love you to bits. Bruh was such a fun trip of a character. And it's still sad,
Yeah. With everything happening, like it was as sad as it was to see Bruh have to take a leave of absence, especially Daito, and just focus on what would be best for himself and a lot of his work. I really wish to have seen the story out through with him, but
life is life at times,
Yeah, life is difficult. I guess I have one last question before we do the big thing with Sandtide. And so, my question is, how do you think things would have ended if your characters did not survive the final encounter? Like, I want to hear what you guys would have thought would have happened if you did not stop Orcus.
If we didn't stop Orcus?
And
yeah.
half 90% of the world was undead. Just zombie wasteland. That's
most of the he might save the world, but at what fucking cost, dude?
Yeah, like I feel like the life would slowly just be sucked out of the star itself. Like this is the whole reason. Even the gods were like, no, y'all need to go stop this, okay?
Y'all, why don't you come down here?
Yeah, like you had gods. Specifically speaking to specific characters, like one-on-one, and you made a big point of that the gods generally are busy, but like when shit's that bad and they're that desperate, they will do it, you know?
Because like I think a lot of whenever I hear like what players think is not exactly what the intent might have been, and I tried to explain this as Cowrel that he wouldn't have killed the planet. Like he would not have killed people.
It would have been a permanent blood moon from freaking Tears of the Kingdom.
Basically, the goal was to raise the dead. Because all those souls have already passed on. All he's doing is just raising armies of the dead to make people stop fighting each other. How that would have ended is entirely up to interpretation.
Yeah.
But you guys would have started a particular kind of campaign with that. And
a zombie apocalypse campaign. That would have been interesting.
Yeah. And even if you had succeeded in that campaign, a zombie apocalypse campaign, you still had to fight off the dreadnought.
We still gotta deal with the dreadnought, if I'm understanding this right. Eventually.
Yeah, well, we'll get to him eventually.
Just so you know, Connor, this one just casually mentions it. Heroes of the Veil. That's our unproduction D&D game. That's also going side by side. I'm like, Me and Kendra sit there like,
We know about
he even
this.
Modi is popping up, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
boy. Nice.
So, I guess the last bit is talking about Santide. And I think it's kind of appropriate that Desiree isn't here.
Yeah, Desi's not. Hopefully, Desi's going to be at least guesting in it. Desi's so much fun to play with, man.
Desi says that she'll be guesting as a very particular kind of PC character that is in mind, and hopefully we'll see how that turns out. On the odd end, Santide, which the idea is that it's going to be a pirate-themed game. So
insert all of your Atlantis and Pirates of the Caribbean meets here.
Yeah. The thing that I have been working on, especially in more recent months, is 3D printing and getting the ships made and everything built and everything kind of put together. So, I wish I could show some stuff, but I know that I really can't because not a lot of it is done just yet. But Santide will hopefully be coming back in August. Our first episode will hopefully be in August after we've gotten at least 2 to 3 episodes recorded. This is also me letting everyone know that we are not going to be doing a live streamed version of these games anymore. And the main reason why is twofold. The first one is that this is scheduling. Scheduling has always been a problem with me because I've always had to deal with a lot of aspects of trying to get these episodes live. And what I would have done, especially with this campaign, is that I basically would get everybody's audio in. I would edit everything, all the videos. I would edit in the breaks. I would render that all, and it was sent out to originally Roll for Damage. And I bought a year subscription for the Google Drive just so that way I can send these massive files over. And when we were finding out that, the time that we wanted was not going to happen and the days were not going to happen, we understood that the scheduling was just going to get too difficult, so we took on the responsibility. So we had a secondary computer at a point, and then that secondary computer became kaputs, and it fell back. Yeah, and it fell all back down onto me. And me having to basically go from filming the game and then within the same time span and breadth of ending the game, I would have to start the stream for the games.
Then you have to stay up the whole time for it.
Yeah, and like that became more and more difficult as time went on. Because I'm constantly working and equally very tired individual. So the easiest thing I could do at this point is that it would just be easier to just upload the show. The other aspect, and I'll talk about this because I don't think a lot of people recognize, is that our live stream versions do not get a audience pool that others would.
So like maybe down the line, if we get more, we could go back to it.
Yeah, it would make more sense if we knew that we had a massive dedicated audience to D6, because keep in mind, D6 is not entirely funded by anything. We would happily take sponsors if we could, but the problem with that is scheduling time and having to edit everything together. And the other aspect is that we are a smaller content creation channel, and we are not as popular yet. Hopefully in due time, but we have to take the liberty of acknowledging where we kind of land with an audience, and it's fine. It's fine how we do that. And so with the future of D6 is that we're just going to upload our episodes at a certain time on Sundays with Sandtide, and I could schedule them way ahead of time so they're always on time. And we'll be taking live streaming as a backseat thought until we know that it will be worth doing in the future.
I mean, on the other hand, too, we're also trying a different format for character layouts for that. So it's kind of like we're losing one thing but gaining another. Because I am doing the PNG tuber stuff for our characters so that when we're speaking, you'll see the characters moving, so it's a little bit more like bringing them to life, and you know exactly who's talking at that point.
Yeah, adding a brand new, unique feel, especially for this campaign. It's gotten a lot more popular, especially with other shows.
To be fair, I got the idea technically through Joe Cat, and I know it didn't do too much, but like with the little word bubbles, and I'm like, I think I could do more with that, and so that's where I kind of jumped off with it. I'm currently working on Connor's.
Yeah. Oh yeah, all the character art for the next campaign is going to be amazing.
I'm interested to see Connor's finish. She's got a very cool character.
Yeah.
The horns. Man.
Oh yeah.
Love them.
So whilst we are moving away from the live streaming aspect and just turning this into a filmed and edited show, hopefully in due time things will change and things will get better, and also our YouTube audience is relatively stronger than our Twitch audience at this point, and hopefully in due time, if we reach a point where it will be worth doing, we will see. But for right now, the future of D6 is creating a well edited and well put together show rather than trying to chase a dream that will not come true. It just happens. Yeah. Sandtide is going to be amazing. I get a feeling it's going to be amazing.
Oh yeah. I mean, you hit me back on that stuff back in like January.
Yeah.
So the character that I've shown you guys, I'm not going to say who and what. I've been putting that character together since January, but that character existed eons ago from an old fan base that I used to be a part of, and thankfully is letting me breathe new life into it, because unfortunately it got a bit of a nasty taste to it due to unfortunate situations, so thank you, Karen, for making me enjoy this character again, and getting the ick off of him.
Yeah. Alright, I think we're now reaching the end here, because I didn't want this to get too long.
Mm-hmm.
Any last remarks? Any of you that are interested?
You're going to melt that damn dice.
Nope. Yep. Forever. Hammer of Dawn. That's mine.
Sorry, I have to say it.
I invite any dice maker to replace it.
We're gonna melt it. I'm telling you, man.
One day, one of us is going to visit. One day, one of us is going to visit, and you're going to find that dice is gone.
The more likelier, the one that is more likely to do that is you, Kendra.
I'm just saying, it could one day just not be there anymore.
I mean, you guys.
I will buy an exact duplicate,
but it's weighted so it
and I will replace it.
No, let's play it fair. Weigh it so it lands on like 3s and 5s.
Oh god, that Hammer of Dawn has been a nuisance since dawn, right?
Right.
Alright.
Listen, you knew I was gonna say something.
Yeah. And that's why it's still called the Hammer of Dawn.
Yep.
Alright. That being said, thank you everyone for hanging out. Thank you guys for watching this. This is going straight up. Straight uploaded. No live stream for it. It's after episode 55 is done. This is going up afterwards. And yeah.
That's it until Sandtide, really.
Yep. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for hanging out. And we hope that you all stay safe out there. We love you. And as always,
see you next campaign.
Damn right.
yes. See you next campaign on Sundays. Yeah.
Sandtide! Woo!